Hey y'all, this video is for week 12, and just as a note, you'll see right here, this slideshow is part for week 12 and part for week 13. So halfway through I'll stop, and then we'll pick this slideshow back up for the following week as well. Sometimes when I have, a 90-minute class, I teach them together. But anyhow, today, or this week, we are going to talk about the top half of this. We're going to talk about job offers and how to evaluate a job offer. And with that comes kind of a deviation where we talk about health insurance just a little bit. I'll keep it short. There's a lot of content, but I'll keep it short. And then how to negotiate, and then some unique situations that come with that sometimes. This is definitely a topic, both, sections where you all are going to want more answers. I'm giving you basics, but there's going to be a time, our last 2 weeks of class, where I'm taking your questions and I'm putting them back into slides and giving you answers. So make note of specific questions you have, whether they're individual, whether you think they're weird, you just don't know what to do, let me know and I'll help you with them, okay? So job offers. Typically, you need your job offer to be written. If it's not written, you can't be guaranteed anything. You can't go back to the company and say, wait a minute, you said you'd pay me this much, but now you're paying me less. So it needs to be written. And they're always going to include a salary, okay? So this is for full-time jobs, by the way. But they're going to include your salary. And that's where we talk about how to evaluate a job offer, okay? It's just more than just a salary. Sometimes they have leave policies or insurance information included, and I put a star beside that because when you're evaluating your offer, it's not going to be just pay. It comes down to so much more, which is what we'll talk about in this series of slides. So you are welcome to ask the person who is, whether it's HR liaison or your contact who interviewed you, ask them for that information or a website where you can go to review that as well. And let them know, I just need to make a decision looking at the entire package. Okay, you can ask for that and you should. Remember, we didn't ask for that information in the job interview. You wait till you get your offer. So now is the time to be evaluating those things. You can take time to consider or evaluate the offer, and you should, okay? Usually when someone calls you and says, we'd like to offer you the job, we're going to send you a written offer, you could tell them, this is something I'm really excited about. I really appreciate the opportunity. Once I get the written offer, when do you need a decision? And typically they're going to say 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes you have some leverage with that. You don't want to necessarily say I have other offer, but you could say there's a lot for me to consider. If you need more than a couple days, you could ask for a week. Very rarely a company will go beyond that, but typically they're excited about you and they want to know the position is filled as well. So consider that, but always say, I can't wait to see it in writing. When do you need my decision? Okay. And that's the time you take to evaluate. Now, very rarely you're just so excited, you say yes, you go ahead and take the job. That's your business, that's fine, but just keep in mind there might be a lot of gray area that you haven't researched, and you'll still be responsible for knowing that information, even if you don't get it until after you've started the job. Okay, I did that with my first ever full-time job because I'd been looking for 6 months. I heard what I needed to hear in the interview. The information I needed about insurance and benefits was accessible online because it was through NC State, so I could already view that. I didn't need to make a decision, evaluate. I already knew what I was doing, but y'all's situations may be very different. And then there sometimes is space for negotiation. Do not start to negotiate immediately. That's when you go back and evaluate the offer and decide where you could negotiate. And we will talk about that in just a little bit. But that time to consider and evaluate also offers you room for negotiation. So in your job offer, you get a base salary. That's how much money you're going to make per year, regardless of commission, bonuses, etc. Okay. There is additional compensation, bonuses. Maybe every year you get a bonus. Sometimes you know what they are, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're always going to get a percentage. Sometimes it depends on sales. You'll learn about commission rates. Get this many sales, get this kind of bonus. You'll learn about potential stock options, which is viewed in some cases as potential income. Profit sharing, overtime. That's really, really important. Are you the kind of person that wants to have a job where you work 40 hours a week and that's done? That's fine. Or are you willing to give some more time? And if so, how will you be compensated for that? For example, at NC State, they have two classifications of employee. One classification can accrue overtime, and they accrue it at the rate of what's called time and a half. So if I work 10 hours overtime in a week, I actually get those 10 hours plus half, so 15 hours. But it's expected that I will use that time but within a year because they don't want to pay me out. Some people get time, some people get extra pay. And then there's another classification of employee at NC State that's like, your job is intensive and we expect that you're going to work overtime every week, and that's why we're offering you a little more salary, but you're not going to get a bonus. Most faculty fall in that. I'm not faculty, but I fall into that. So the overtime policy may be there is no overtime, but you need to be aware of that. You're going to get your insurance package, and that's why we deviate a little bit with this lecture. We'll get into that in a minute. You're going to learn about your vacation, sick, personal days, paid time off, and holidays. Some companies do sick and vacation leave in one clump. You just get 10 or 15 days a year, and they don't want to know what you're doing. It's just all together. Others have sick leave for doctor's appointments, a child's illness, your illness, and then they have a separate pocket of leave for vacation and days off. You need to know this up front, and you need to know how many days you'll get, okay? Typically, just starting out, it's not going to be great, but you could work your way up to earn more. I know at NC State, the longer you're here, the more leave you earn. You'll want to know what holidays are off. You'll want to understand the leave policy. Does leave carry from year to year, or do you have to use it all in 1 year? Is it based on hierarchy? So people who've been there the longest get preference over days off. These are all things you need to learn because those are included in your job offer, and they aren't pay, but some people really like that, like to know what kind of time they have. And for them, a really good leave package could make it worth taking a slightly lower salary. You definitely want to know your retirement options, which we'll talk about next week, and extra perks. So some companies, if you work with them, you get public service student loan payoff. So once you work in certain fields, I should say, for 10 years and you've made 10 years worth of payments, you could have the rest of your student loans erased. Some cover your car or your phone. Usually those are sales. Some have an on-site gym you can use for free, etc. So the extra perks are important. Some companies give every other Friday off for community service. Some give jewelry as an annual gift. Some have beer on tap. Whatever it may be. You need to know what those perks are. Because again, some perks could cause you to be more interested in a job that pays a little less. Because yes, y'all are here to make a paycheck, but you will quickly learn, if you haven't yet, that a paycheck is not everything. You've got to love your job. So really, really quick, because my videos cap at 15 minutes and I don't want to put this into 2. There are a few items here I want you to know. There's open enrollment for insurance. Whenever you start a new job, you are part of open enrollment for 2 weeks to 30 days. So 2 to 4 weeks. As soon as you take that job, you need to pick your insurance. If you miss that window, you may not sign up for insurance again for another year. And I'm telling y'all, there are 0 exceptions. The only time enrollment would reopen is if you get pregnant. Okay? Otherwise, you got to wait the year. Your premium is what you pay every month to have insurance. Usually companies pay a part and you pay a part. Okay? And every company has different plans. For example, at State, I cover myself and my daughter. I think I pay something like $180 for the both of us. My husband has a company. He pays about $100 per paycheck, so $200 a month for just himself. Every company has different plans. That's your premium, what you are paying from your paycheck every month just to have health insurance. Okay? Then your deductible. It's how much you have to pay out of pocket before some services like medical procedures are covered. Usually it's between $500 and $2,000. This will include your prescriptions, co-pays, etc. It doesn't mean your insurance doesn't cover anything, but oftentimes there's deductibles before they cover even more. Out-of-pocket maximum is how much you'll have to pay out-of-pocket for health care. Try not to stress about that. What you want to focus on is your premium and your deductible, and then your co-pays. So I pay a slightly higher premium because I like my co-pays to be lower because I have an illness where I have to see a doctor regularly. So I don't want to be dropping $120 every time I go. Anyhow, your copay, like your primary care doctor, that's how much you pay. If you see a psychiatrist, you pay a certain amount. Think about your health. How much are you going to be going to the doctor that you know of right now, okay? And think about how much that would cut out of your paycheck if you had to pay higher copays just to get a lower premium. Coinsurance is how much your insurance covers for procedures after you make that deductible. And then in-network and out-of-network is something you need to pay attention to. You want to pick a doctor that is in your health insurance network. That means that they participate in your health insurance plan. If you're seeing a doctor now and they're not in that plan, you would want to find a new doctor, or be sure you look at jobs that are in certain plans. But honestly, health insurance plans change for companies every year, so I'd be more loyal to a company than a specific doctor for a specific insurance plan. If you go out of network, your insurance doesn't cover it, or they cover much less. So it's really your copay, your premium, and who's in network that is important. I might have to make another video, y'all. I'm so sorry for this. So, and one more thing about insurance. A lot of students think, well, I just won't get insurance. I'm super healthy right now. Please do not make that mistake. You never know what could happen. All it takes is one car accident or one diagnosis, and you desperately need insurance. When I graduated, I was extremely healthy, and within 8 months, I had developed an illness that I will have my whole life. I mean, I'm fine, but it's because of regular doctor's checks and medications. So you never know what could happen. Last semester, I had multiple students tell me they just weren't going to get insurance because they're healthy. And that's great that you are right now. Then you won't have to pay a lot of copays, and you'll maybe pick a plan that has a low monthly premium. But please do not disregard health insurance. If you got in a car accident and did not have health insurance, you would be paying, depending on how the accident is, between probably $20,000 to $100,000 in medical bills minimum. And that's, debt that chases you forever. So get insurance, look into it. Every company should have HR manager that can walk you through the plan step by step. It can be very overwhelming. If they don't have an HR management, call your mom or dad, ask a colleague about it, do your research online. Okay, and just be sure you're picking a plan that's right for you, definitely. And while you are waiting to work, unless you are over, I think it's 26, you can be on your parents' health insurance as well. So now that I've said all that, I know I'm definitely gonna have to make a second video, so I'm gonna stop right here, wrap up this video that talked about the beginning of a job offer and health insurance and how that relates to your job package, and I'll come back with a second one about how to negotiate a job offer.